Piping can instantly dress up your cake and cupcakes and take them to the next level. So today, I am going to show you step by step the piping techniques needed to decorate cakes and cupcakes using 4 of my favorite piping tips. To make things super simple for you, I have created piping practice sheets that you can print off and use with me. The link is in the description below. First thing you should know is that practice is the key. Even after 10 years of piping, I never go straight to my cake or cupcakes. I practice at least 1 or 2 shapes on a plate with each piping tip that I plan to use. Now let's set up our workspace. We are going to start off with the piping practice sheets for small tips. I have taped it to the table so that the piping practice sheet does not move. Next, you want to get a piece of parchment paper, and we're going to tape that to the table. You're going to try and make it as tight as possible so that you can see the piping practice sheet underneath. Now sometimes it can be hard to tape it because parchment paper does not actually stick very well, so the tape sometimes loosens. So we're going to put some extra pieces on the sides. Now if you don't have parchment paper, you could use clear cling wrap or you could use a plate. And if you can't print the piping practice sheet, then just use one of those 3 other options. And now we're ready. Next, you'll need a small 12-inch prepared piping bag using chilled icing. It is important to have your icing chilled for at least 30 minutes prior to piping. This way, your piping designs will be more crisp. Not sure how to fill a piping bag? I got you covered. Click the link in the right corner. Now, before we pipe directly onto our piping practice sheet, what I want to show you is how to hold your piping bag properly. So first, we want to get all the icing towards the bottom of the bag, like so. Next, the top of your icing, we're going to twist the bag. The twisted part of the bag goes in the crevice between your thumb and the pointer finger of your dominant hand, and it's going to hold it there. Next, these 4 fingers will wrap around the bag, and as they apply pressure, the icing will come out the tip. Your other hand can be used for stability and guidance. So some people place a couple fingers, 1 finger. It's totally up to you and your comfort level. Now let's get ready to make some icing art. We are going to start with Wilton Piping Tip number 16. It makes small stars, which are great for character and design cakes. Now, we're going to hold the piping bag vertically straight. I'm going to use my other hand for stability and guidance. We're going to go close to the piping practice sheet. We are going to squeeze, stop, and lift up. Squeeze, let go, and lift up. Now you are going to make some bigger stars, so we're going to squeeze a bit longer. Squeeze, stop, lift up. Squeeze, stop, lift up. And we're just going to keep practicing, and you actually get better and faster at this the more you do it. Next, we're going to make a row of stars. So we're going to squeeze, stop, let go. Now right close to it, we're going to do the exact same thing. And now to do similar sized stars, we want to keep our squeeze time and pressure as consistent as possible. And we're just going to keep practicing until the end. Now we're going to go to a shape. So when we have a shape, we always do outlines first. So we're going to start with the outline. And then once we have the outline, we move into the inside and fill it in. Now we are going to switch our piping tip to Wilton Piping Tip number 233, which makes grass or fur. For grass, we use short strands, and fur, long strands. So we're going to go vertically straight just above the piping practice sheet. I'm going to put my hand for stability. We're going to squeeze, pull up, and let go. Squeeze, pull up, let go. Now we'll try some more. And we try and overlap them a bit. And it doesn't have to be perfect because grass nor fur is perfect. Next, let's practice with our clusters in a shape. So I'm going to do the left side with grass and then the right side with fur, okay? So let me go again. You always go on the outside and then move to the inside. And then one in the middle. And there's a nice patch of grass. Now, the difference with the fur is you're going to put it down and pull and then let go. So you want them much longer. And again, we're going to be on the outside. And I think you can see how that fur is coming out nicely. You can make it as short or as long as you want that fur to be. Now we're going to go on the inside and come out. Again, and one last one. So you could make a great monster, Elmo. I love this tip. Now we are going to switch to Wilton Piping Tip number 2, which is great for outlining and writing on cakes. So we're going to hold it at an angle. We're going to use our other hand for stability. We're going to squeeze, and with consistent pressure, we're just going to keep moving along our line. And then we're going to stop squeezing and pull away. Okay, let's do that one more time. We're going to start, squeeze, pull. You almost let it kind of fall onto the line. And then we're going to slow down, stop, push down, and there's a nice line. Now we're going to move on to the circle. So let's start squeezing slowly, move along. Just take your time. Now when you're practicing, it might not be exactly perfect, but we just keep trying. And then when we round back, then we kind of let go and just continue in that circular motion. Next, we're going to move on to letters. So we're going to start. These are just lines. So this is a great place to start. And another line. And another line. Now, just like we did with our circle, we're going to go round. And if you want, you can stop here, or you can go right up. Then we're going to do our P, straight down, and then make a round P. Again. And again, the more we do this, the more we practice, the better we get at it. And there's happy. Now we're going to move on to the next font. So we're going to start with a straight line, take your time, finish off. Now just like the circle, we're going to go slowly, let it connect along the lines, and just take your time. Now, if you want a different font, you can just print it and then practice on it before you go to your cakes. I'm going to go up and down, and I'm going to stop right there. I'm going to reconnect my P here. I'm going to make a new line, then again stop and take it to the top and connect. Now I'm going to stop there, and you can do step by step. So you can do one continuous movement, or you can do it step by step. And how you would do that is take your piping tip, come back to this start squeezing as you move the piping tip, and then it looks like you never stopped. So you just take your time, and that's the biggest thing with this writing, is it takes time and practice. When you are done with practicing, you can reuse this icing as long as you did it on parchment paper, clear cling wrap, or a plate. So you would just take a plain butter knife and scrape it off and put it back in your bowl. And this way you can reuse it. So if it's been out for a while and it's warmed up, then definitely re-chill it before you actually pipe it on your cake. But this way you're not actually wasting your icing. We are now going to move on to the piping practice sheet for large tip. So I've printed that out, taped it to the table, put parchment paper on top, and taped that on the table as well. Now our workspace is ready. We are going to be using the Wilton 1M tip, which makes large rosettes perfect for cakes and cupcakes. Absolutely gorgeous. So before we start practicing, what I want to point out is that when you're using a large piping bag, there can be this excess bag here, which I find to be quite cumbersome. So how I deal with that is I actually fold it down. So I keep the twisted part still in my thumb. I'm going to pull this excess bag over my index finger, but then it goes under the other three, and then I can close my hand and see I can still squeeze. And this way, the bag is actually contained, and I find it to be much more comfortable for me. But again, do what's comfortable for you. We are going to start with our first rosette. So we want the piping bag to be vertically straight, and we're going to start the rosette in the center of where we want the rosette to be. Hand for stability. We are going to squeeze and make a star. Now with consistent pressure, we're going to move to the right, and now we're going to make a circle around our star. And when we come to the end, we're going to stop squeezing and then move the piping back in the same motion as what you had just piped. And that's how simple a rosette is. Okay, let's do another one. So center star squeeze, move out, and a circle around the star. Stop squeezing and pull out. We'll do a couple more. Now, if you want to go the opposite direction, you could go to the left. If you choose to do that, then just make sure when you're doing cakes that you stay in the exact same direction that you started with. And last one, star, move out, make a circle, and stop, and around. And there we go. What beautiful rosettes. Now let's do rosettes side by side. So we're going to start with the first one again. In the center, squeeze, make a circle around, consistent pressure. When we come to the close, stop and move around. Okay. Next, we're going to go about half an inch over. We're going to squeeze, come around, and this one is almost overlapping the other rosette. It will take over. We're going to stop and finish. Now, when we're on a cake, we always start on the bottom and we work our way up because this is going to overlap on there. So let's start with as if we're doing a cake. So let's go with the center, squeeze. And here is one. Okay. Two. Again, that was about a half inch to the side. Okay, and I'm just going to wipe the excess off here sometimes, just to clean it off if I find that it's hard to control. So 3, center, out, around, and it overlaps. So each one overlaps by a little. We stop squeezing. There we go. Now, when we move to our next layer or level, we're going to go halfway in between the two rosettes below, and we're going to go on top of them. So like this. We're going to go start in the center, move out. We're going to make our big circle. Now see, look, we've covered that little space. We're going to stop and come out. And now again, it's halfway between those two. And out. And voila. If you're going to be doing a large rosette on a cupcake, it's slightly different than what we practiced for the cake. So a cupcake is typically a bit wider than what we've done here. So I'm going to show you how you would do that. Again, vertically straight, we're going to start with a star in the center, come out, make our circle around the star, and instead of stopping here, we're going to continue another circle around what we already piped. And you're going to keep the circle going until you've finished covering as much as you want of the cupcake. You're going to stop and pull away. That is a gorgeous rosette. That definitely is my go-to for cupcakes. Now that you have mastered Piping Technique 101, you are ready to start piping on your cakes and cupcakes. Be creative and have fun. Happy decorating!